Okay, welcome to another review video by Bland Gaming, the most boring and unsophisticated gaming channel on the internet. Maybe someday after I retire I'll change that and I'll get more technical, but not anytime soon. 5 more years till I can retire, so you guys got to hang around until 5 years. So listen, one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to go ahead and review some games that you can play by yourself since we're in the middle of this epidemic. However, it is June 13th, and I'm thinking that we're probably not going to be in this much longer. So here's a game that is currently on Kickstarter. I think you only have like 3 days left to pick it up. I have borrowed this copy from a friend of mine. I wanted to play it before I backed it. Spoiler alert, if you can't hang around for about 5 or 10 minutes here for the review, I highly recommend this game. It's very, very cool. There's a lot of good value in it, and I'm not one to buy games and then sell them after I get them. I get attached to them, and I'm kind of a hoarder when it comes to my games. But my understanding is that it's very easy to get your money back on this after you've played it and gotten tired of it or what have you. So anyway, what are we talking about? We're talking about Nemesis. Now, a lot of people have stated that this game really is Aliens the game without the license to it. And I'd heard that being passed around by a bunch of people, and I would say that that's overwhelmingly true with the way that the game is set up. So Nemesis can be played one of 3 ways. You can play it in its default mode is called semi-cooperative, and the basic premise behind Nemesis is you have this board which represents a spaceship, and the players, go ahead and wake up from their hypersleep right here in this chamber, and they're somewhat amnesiac. I think is that a word? Am I making up words? Am I doing a George Bushism? Anyway, so they are having memory problems. They're trying to go out into the ship and explore the ship, and to go ahead and fulfill certain objectives, what have you. Of course, there's alarms going off. There's all sorts of things that are going wrong. There are eggs here and there, and then we have these wonderful creatures here, and you can just see the models are just beautiful. These are called the intruders, and they are very heavily influenced by Geiger's alien design, and I think that imitation is the best flattery. This is like a little larva, which is almost like it's almost like the chest burster and face hugger blended into one. And then these are the lurkers, more creatures here. Let's see if we can get focus on that. I mean, it's a gorgeous model. And then once you start getting into the big ones, it couldn't be a setting based off of Alien without a queen. And if you just look at the miniatures are just top notch. You can see she's holding one of the larvae in her hands there. And I love the base of her unit. They're just all these little larvae that are all crawling out and everything. She's just so cool looking. They did a great job on capturing the theme of Alien without being a cheesy knockoff to it and everything. So in the game, you basically draw 2 character cards, and then you pick which character. It'll say which character you want to play and everything. And there is a soldier. Oops, sorry about the glare. There's a soldier here. Let's try this. Maybe that's a little better. There's a soldier who is a character that's based off of combat, obviously. And then the scout is more of a movement and can move with stealth and whatnot around the table. The scientist is good for doing searching and also for finding weaknesses in the aliens. The pilot has some pretty cool abilities as far as she's able to open doors up and use abilities in the rooms without paying the cost. So fire and damage are a big part of the game. If you get too much, then the ship explodes. So the mechanic is really good at being a troubleshooter, running around and taking care of that stuff. And then finally, there's the captain. The captain has a lot of buffer powers. He has powers where you can compel characters to do other things, or you can actually assist them and give them boosts. Okay, so anyway, the three ways, the entire way of the game is you're going to be going around, and as you go from room to room, you're going to flip these tiles over, and it'll give you an actual room, and it'll tell you the room itself here. And then with each of these tiles, you'll also have one of these like counters here. And this here, the 4 on it, signifies that there's 4 items in the room that you can search for. And then this game here, this slime here, indicates an ongoing effect that is inside that room there. So the characters would be affected by the slime effect. I don't want to get too much into the details. I just want to give you a feel for it. Now, as your characters move around, this is a really neat, this is a pretty cool mechanic and everything. So let's say that we had our soldier and he moved from here into here. So we would uncover this and we would find that he's in the monitoring room here. And then the next thing that the soldier would do is he would roll for, this is what's called the noise dice. So you go ahead and roll that, and then that's a 2. So it indicates that the chamber here, the hallway with a 2, is going to generate noise. So you would put a noise token there. And the more noise you make, the more chances you're going to attract the intruders. So, really quick, I'm listening to Dream State Logic. Got to give a shout out to them in case you guys hear them for any Oh gosh, and the drink of the day. I was really in the mood. It's raining here pretty hard, and I was really in the mood for a nice Chardonnay. So I had a very heavy dinner. Very starchy dinner, so I took a break from the beer and I'm going with a glass of wine tonight, a little bit more sophisticated. So anyway, so the way that these move is then if the next person moves in there and they roll the dice and they roll another 2 and another sound would have to go on top of there, then you do what's called pulling an encounter card. And or you roll for an encounter, and then you reach literally into this bag and you pull out these little tokens here, and these tokens have different symbols which generate the different type of intruders and everything. And then you would have an encounter in there where the intruder would be inside the room with you, and then you go through your turn and you're able to do 2 different actions. It's a card-based system. And again, I didn't want to get too complicated, but so what you'll do is you have a list of your actions that you can take here. You can move, you can shoot, you can melee attack, pick up a heavy object, trade or craft items. And what that 1 right there means is that you have to discard. You'll have a card, a hand, this is your deck, and each deck is different for each character. But you'll have a hand of 5 cards. And what you'll do is you'll give up 1 card, put it over here in your discard pile right over here, in order to take any of those generic actions. In addition to that, so your cards are like a currency, but then they also can be like this one here. You can play the actual card itself. So this one costs 0. You just have to use the card itself, and then you basically can search a room to find gear. And you've got these neat little gear cards that are all over here and stuff. So you'll be able to get those. There's an event phase, which actually has board events that happen on the board here. It also allows the monsters to move, to attack, and what have you. And combat itself is pretty easy. You basically just roll this combat dice here, and it has a generic symbol for hits, and then it has symbols for each type of alien, and it's kind of a sliding scale, so or intruder, I should say, not alien, but you guys know what I mean. So in other words, if you roll an adult symbol, then it counts as a hit against here we are. So you've got, it's got a scale right here. So it would count as a hit for an adult, a creeper, or a larva, whichever one you had. If you have the breeder, you would have to, or a queen, you would have to roll one of these generic hits here. And then depending on what type of weapon you're using, like this scout, she's got the energy rifle, or the the soldier has this assault rifle, and each time you deal at least one injury, you deal an additional injury. So it's like he gets a +1 on his damage. And then these are ammo cubes. You get rid of these every time you shoot. And let me tell you, that is a very, very difficult mechanic in the game, because once you run out of ammo, you have to either go to a room that's able to charge it up, or you have to be able to search this deck here and find basically an energy pack that you can use for ammunition. So it's pretty tricky. Okay, so I'm getting really far into this. Oh, and then with the hit itself, depending on how many hits, what you'll do is you draw a random monster card here, and then you ignore the rest of the card here. This is how the monsters attack. So you basically pull the card out. When the monsters attack you, if the symbol matches the monster that's attacking you, then you resolve the effect. If the monster symbol is not on there, then basically it's a miss. But the other mechanic is it has this number up here. So it doesn't matter if it is an adult or higher, so an adult, a breeder, then it's going to have the number of hit points that are up in the corner here. Larvae and creepers always have 1 hit point. From my experience, the majority of the cards that are in there have usually about 4 or 5 hit points. There's a couple 2s in there, and I think there's a couple 6s in there, but for the most part, you're going to be looking at 4 or 5 hit points. When you consider that these weapons here are firing 4 times, and you have to roll 1 out of a 6 chance in order to do 2 damage on it, combat is pretty awful. It's very unforgiving in this game. So there are a couple times where you'll want to run away from the monster, and the monster gets the way that it works is the monster gets a free attack on you when you run away. But you can do things like seal doors behind you, seal doors in certain spots and everything. Like you could do this door seal right here in order to try and contain the monsters. All that does is it really delays the monsters unless you have a special ability that says otherwise. So anyway, okay, so that's the basic mechanics of the game. Now, what's the point? The point of the game is the game can be played 3 ways. My friend who loaned this to me has played it the default way, which is semi-co-op. And in the semi-co-op game, everyone is dealt 2 objectives. You're dealt a personal objective and a corporate objective. And the moment that the first intruder is revealed on the map, you have to choose which one of these 2 objectives you are secretly trying to achieve. And these objectives are mean. They are completely adversarial. Let me just see, here's like a generic objective. So here is a corporate objective. An old few. Player 3's character cannot survive, or your character is the only survivor. That is how you win the game. So even though you're kind of working together to fight the intruders, the entire time you're trying to sit there and line up against player 3 and set them up in a bad spot. And, just give you another idea. Aliens on a spaceship. Send the signal and the nest must be destroyed. So this one actually isn't all that bad. So this is where you have to go find a room where you can send like a distress call, and then you have to find the room that's the nest, and you have to destroy all the eggs, which are right here generically. I think you start out with 5 in the nest itself and everything. So anyway, these objectives, you'll have to, whoever fulfills one, at the end of the game, they win the game. And there's a turn cycle that goes here. And then there's also, if anyone triggers a self-destruct, the self-destruct goes here. It's pretty cool, too, because if at any point that it gets in the orange there, you can't reverse it, and the ship's going to explode. And then what you have to do is you have to make it to one of these escape pods, which are locked. You can't get into those without either special ability cards or the moment that the timer goes past 8 here, then no, it's not the escape pods, the hibernation chamber opens up. So you can actually survive by going back to sleep, but you have these coordinate cards too. You have to make sure that your ship is going back to Earth and not to Venus or deep space or what have you. So anyway, that is the adversarial game. I've heard a lot of people critical of it because it is bloodthirsty. Not only are you dealing with these intruders, but it pits the characters secretly against it. Now, if you've ever played a game, I got to give a shout out to Tom Vassell wrote a game called Nothing Personal, and it is what me and my group call the Screw Your Neighbor games. If you've ever played a Screw Your Neighbor game and you guys enjoy that and everyone has a good sense of humor about it, that is an amazing game, and I like games like that. That's a lot of fun. This one, it reminds me of Dead of Winter. If you've ever played Dead of Winter with the adversary option and everything, that's what's kind of going on, but instead of just one person trying to sabotage things, you have everybody trying to screw the other person and everything. So it's kind of brilliant. I have never played this that way because I got this game right in the middle of COVID, and the only game player I have to play board games with me is my son, and you would want to play the semi-co-op with 5 people to really create the paranoia and what have you. So then you can play the game as either a completely cooperative or a solo game. And if you do that, then you use these objective cards here. And every player gets one of these objective cards. These are much kinder cards than the adversarial ones. And like this one is cutting off the head. So you have to send the signal and the queen must be killed, or send the signal and blow up the ship, basically. And all of the in order for everybody to win, and everybody wins together or everybody loses together, you have to get both of the objectives for the play, or if there's 3 players, all 3 of the objectives have to be fulfilled in order to win the cooperative mode. You can play this one player. I have played 3 games of this because COVID, single player, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I had a really good time playing it, and a lot of games will advertise themselves as, oh yes, you can play it single player with this weird, deck that you use, or this weird, chart that you use, and it doesn't really work and everything. This game really worked for me as far as the single player. So I've played it cooperative with OG, and then I've also played it single player, and I really like it. I have not had a chance to try the semi-co-op, but I've heard good things about it. Most of the people who don't like the semi-co-op, they don't. It's not that they don't like this game. It's just that they don't like the nature of semi-co-op. The other thing I'll say about the game too is the game is challenging, but not impossible. A friend of mine got me Deep Madness with all the extras and everything like that, and we were so excited. It was beautiful models. It was beautiful, great tone. The drowning mechanism, we just thought that was brilliant and everything. But ultimately, when we played it, and we are, I'm okay, but I brought some really hardcore math-headed guys that are famous for breaking games and figuring out the rules and really, making it so that they win every time. And they couldn't win that game. That game was so difficult and everything, and it was so disappointing because it's such a beautiful game. It's such a really great game, and I was really disappointed that it is so insanely hard. This game is challenging, yet it is not impossible to win. The cooperative game I played with OG, we had fulfilled 2 out of our 3 objectives before we wound up losing, so we were really on our way. And then the 2 single-player games I've played, I actually won both of those. So it's possible to win. And anyway, that's what I like it. So the other thing I got to say too that is really brilliant about this. So with the different versions and with the different boxes, they're going to add more characters, and all the characters are compatible. So the second game for Nemesis Lockdown, it takes place on a Mars colony. So it's much like this one's the ship, very akin to an Aliens version, but like Nostromo. And then the other one is like a facility where you can go up and down, and it's got a whole new set of characters and everything. So, but you can use the characters from Lockdown on this game, and you can use these characters on Lockdown, which is really cool because you can also buy these expansions. And this is the one that my friend had when he backed it originally. And this here, it has the stretch goals, and it's got the aftermath scenario in it, and it's got Void Seeder, so it's got 5 more characters in it. But the thing that's really cool is it also has these Void Seeders and everything. And the Void Seeders are an entirely separate species that you can use in this game, and it's all compatible. and the way that the Void Seeders play is completely different than the way the Intruders play. And that is what is so brilliant about it. And the Void Seeders are all like driving the characters insane, and they're all mental attacks and things like that. And I don't know much about the new aliens from Lockdown, but then there was also, they're called Carnot something. There's another expansion that's currently available in the Kickstarter right now, and it's almost like they are made up of human pieces and stuff. It reminded me very much of Who Goes There and The Thing, and they look like these creatures that are just these amorphous blobs of human tissue, and it just looks cool. But anyway, you can take those aliens you could take the Void Seeders and you could put them in this game, or you could take the Intruders and you could put them in the other game. It's really a brilliant thing, and they're not all it's not all it's just a new skin and it's just slightly different. Each one of the species plays very differently and changes the very core mechanic of the game very differently, and I think it's a really cool idea and everything. So I really got a lot more into the details of this than I wanted to. So check out the Kickstarter. I think, again, you got 3 more days to back it. I myself backed it. I would highly recommend it, especially if you like the dungeon crawl games. It's a very different one. It fulfills on the one thing that I'll say that shines about this game is that it fulfills on its promise of it can be played cooperative, it can be played single player, and it can be played semi-cooperative. And it's not just a cop-out saying, oh yeah, you can play cooperative if you want. It actually is a fun cooperative game. It's a fun semi-cooperative game. And it's a fun solo game. I really enjoyed playing it solo at night. I put on some creepy sci-fi type music and then went ahead and played it and everything. If you like sci-fi horror, if you liked aliens and everything, and you wanted to experience a game with that kind of paranoia and everything, then this is the game for you. And I don't need to tell you, because you can see here and you can see on the Kickstarter page the components, everything from just the card stock to the art to the miniatures. I mean, it is a gorgeous game. I think $300 gets you all of the content. And when I say all of it, it gets you like all the different... I'm trying to get this to focus in. Sorry, bear with me. It gets you all of the bonus content. It gets you both of the box sets, which are also standalone, which is something that I like too. So if you didn't want to get the original Nemesis and you just wanted to get Lockdown, then you can go ahead and get that one. Oh, and in the current Kickstarter, they're reselling this one here. So you can get the old version of Nemesis, which I'm showing you here, and then get the new one as well. I think it's a great investment. I think it's a hell of a game. I think they did a great job over there at Awaken Realms, and I could not wait to back it. So anyway, if you have any experience with Nemesis or any questions, please leave them for me in the comments. I'll try and answer them. In the meantime, thanks again for visiting the most boring channel on the internet. Everybody hang in there a little bit longer, and we're all going to be able to game here real soon. So take care, and thanks for watching.